My name is Supreme Magnetic Air like Allah, and today's Supreme Mathematics is Wisdom Equality. And today I'm dealing with the history of myself, because my history ain't no mystery. And to start this off, I'll let it be known that I'm originally from Roosevelt, Long Island, and now I now reside in Now C. That's North Carolina. And I got this knowledge in 1981. And how I got this knowledge, well, first, I remember I have never heard of a 5%er prior to 81. And it was this brother, older brother, he was older than myself. One day I was on my bike and he told me that the black man was God. And that kind of stuck in my mind because I never really had a serious thought about God. And then fast forward a few months later, some friends of mine, actually my best friend, brother by the name of Gary that I grew up with, they had went to a different school than me. So they got knowledge and they was newborns. And he came around one day and he was like, his name was Ramel Rashamelallah. And, that sounded swift to me. That sounded real slick and attractive. I liked it. I was like, Ramel Rashamelallah. And then he proceeded to explain or strive to explain to the best of his ability. And, that started the whole thing with me, being attracted to a light mind of Allah. And, so being around them and doing the knowledge to them, like I say, they were newborns. I think maybe the most advanced brother in that immediate circle probably was dealing with the alphabets. And then probably had a brother that's dealing with the knowledge degree and the student enrollment. And for me, I was attracted. Immediately like, damn, this is something new, something different, and it makes sense to me. So I used to just do the knowledge and listen. I didn't ask too many questions. I just listened. And so at some point, I made it known, look, I want, I want to be a part of that. So the brothers, they gave me what they could. They gave me Supreme Mathematics. And I learned the mathematics. And at some point they was like, yo, you need to choose a name for yourself. So at that time, I took the name Duma, and my name was Duma Allah for a few months. And so I was running with the Duma Allah, and I had mathematics, Supreme Mathematics. And then I met a brother by the name of Jamil, Lord Jamil Allah, and from Freeport. And he was building with me. He was giving me the examination. And, he seen where I was at, and I was sincere about it. And so he knew that the brothers that was giving it to me, they was newborns themselves. They could only teach me as far as they could teach me. So he took me in and he was like, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get rid of everything they gave you, the mathematics, the alphabets, rip that up, boom. We're going to start fresh from the foundation. And so this is what we did. And you're going to go on a 3-day fast. So I did that, you know what I'm saying? And we began to build. And so how he gave it to me, I used to have to go to his rest every time to write a degree down. And I had to write every degree. Like when I get one degree, I write it, I go there, I write it out of his book of life, I copy it, I take it back to the rest, I take it to the lab, I study it, I knowledge and wisdom it. And then I come back, and if I can quote it 100% right and exact, then he would allow me to copy the next degree out of his book of life. And that's how I learned my entire 120. And so in 1982 is when I completed my 120. Sometime in 1982, I had 120. And actually, right around that same time, I had my first student. It was a young brother, lived up the block from me. His name was Chrissy. And then, he wanted the knowledge himself. And he was attracted to me. I was a little older than him. He was attracted to my magnetic. So boom, I gave him the knowledge, and I walked him through it, and his name became Shamel Allah. And then down the line, I had another student by the name of Wise, and a couple other brothers that, I can't recall right off the rip, right off the bat. I was teaching. And then I remember the guards used to come. I think a law education, uh, God Sincere, Shakim, a bunch of guards used to come. And on the Parliament Day, every last Sunday of the month, from all over Long Island, they used to round us up, and we used to get on the train, and we used to head to Mecca, and we used to go to parliaments, or we go to Medina, and we used to go to parliaments, but mostly Mecca. And they used to take us, and we used to get on the train, and I remember those days going to Parliament, and those are the days back when Parliament was standing room only. You know what I'm saying? And I remember those times. And then years down, maybe 1986, in my community, the crack era kind of hit real hard, you know what I'm saying? And that was going on. And so somewhere in that era, I became attracted to the street life, to the fast cars, the money, the flashiness. And, so that is when I veered into that direction and started living into that jungle life, and, we all know that that your consequences of your actions and the choices that you make, you know what I'm saying? We know that 10 is justice in the supreme alphabet. And we know that justice is a penalty of a reward for your actions and deeds. So, I went through trials and tribulations by choosing to go in that lifestyle. And, I was in and out of jail and in and out of prisons. And a couple of times I had state bids in New York State Prison. And during those times, I taught brothers. When I was in the Nassau County Jail, I taught a couple of brothers. And the two times I had to do a bid in New York State prisons, I taught a few brothers. And then after that, after that period, I was resting in Medina, in Red Hook Projects. And I rested in Red Hook in Medina for about God years. And somewhere thereafter, I ended up getting a Fed bid, catching a federal case, a possession. And I ended up getting 17 and a half years in the PNAP. And during that 17 and a half years, I ended up going to FCI Otisville in Otisville, New York. And the guards, when I got to the compound, I was fresh in with a fresh bid, almost a wisdom cipher, almost. I had 17 and a half. So, my mind was still in the fall. I was striving to make sense of it all and gather my wits. And so I hit the compound, and I was kind of like standoffish, just doing the knowledge. But I always do the knowledge when I first come in any cipher. I just do the knowledge and observe wise words and ways and actions. And that's how I determine who is who and who is not who they say they is. So I like to observe a little while before making myself made manifest. Because, people know who you is. They on their best behavior, or they move a certain way. But if they don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like they say, a wise man can play the part of a fool, but a fool can never play the part of a wise man. So sometimes that's how I move, just to observe the cipher and do the knowledge to the cipher. And so that's what I was doing when I got there. And it was a guard from Albany, a law born. His name was Supreme Mathematics in my unit. And the guard, he knew I had knowledge of self. I built with the guard, made knowledge born. And he made knowledge born to the rest of the guards. But he used to examine me. He was the one examining me, make sure that my paperwork was right, exact, you know what I'm saying? And make sure, test me on my lessons. So me and him used to go through the lessons. He tested me, see if I knew my lessons. And I knew my lessons. Fresh off the street, I knew my lessons. So God, he went and made knowledge born to the guards that, yeah, we got a guard on the compound, my unit. So they was having parliaments, in that compound, the guards. At that time, True Born Maya Law was there. And he was the representative on that compound for the nation. And, the guard was teaching. The guards had positive structure. They was involved in a lot of positive activities on that compound, and they had a supreme and righteous reputation on the compound, so, it was right and exact to that extent. And so, my law, he was on his way out. And as I was just coming in, so we didn't get a chance to like rub elbows and really break bread and build and meet in the mind, you know what I'm saying? So like that. So I remember he was going out, I was coming in, God brought me to the parliament, introduced myself to the guards on that compound, and I was adding on ever since. I was in Otisville for 13 and a half years, and ever since that day, we used to have parliaments, we used to have honor day celebrations, and all of that, and 120 classes, civilization classes. We used to do all of that on that compound, and so from that moment, I've been adding on in that cycle for the entire 13 and a half years. Now, like I said, we had parliaments every last Sunday of the month. So we used to take minutes of our parliaments into a parliament report. And back then, uh, CLR, may he rest in perfection, the guard was the correspondence at a law school. And so we used to send our parliament report to the guard every month. Every month we had parliament. We sent a parliament report and let them know what was going on, what we was involved in, what we was doing on that compound as far as nation business and the law world manifest. And we was also in contact with the National Office of Cultural Affairs, NOCA, which was headed by the God Born King, and we was dealing in contact with them. And we was also dealing with the 5% of newspapers sending our parliament reports. We was just making knowledge born on the outside, what we was doing on the inside. And that was how we was building in Otisville. And we had students, you know what I'm saying? Mind you, the feds, you got people from all states. So we was teaching people from all states, you know what I'm saying, all areas of the planet in this poor part. So we had students, we was involved in a lot of positive activities on the compound. We was inviting people to our parliaments, we was inviting people to our honor days, and we was teaching this, and for the entire 13 and a half years I was in Otisville, this is what I was doing. And the guards, before I got there, the guards had named Otisville because the abbreviation of Otisville is OTV. So they had named it Cipher True Victory. So this was the name of Otisville while we were there, Cipher True Victory. And so we was building it. And, um, you know, so that's what was going on with that for that 13 and a half years. Now, it was a God, myself, righteous born, who's up in See Truth right now. That me and the God was tight. Like that was my right hand man. That's still my right hand man. Me and the God, we held it down for a long time. The God came through named K Mel from Medina. He's down in Georgia right now. That's the God. That's my man. Um, we had a brother from up in the D.C., Maryland area, Black Warrior Allah. I mean, we had numerous brothers. It's so many brothers I can name. The God K Born. There's so many gods that came through that was good gods and that added on to that cipher that I can name. I can't name everybody, but those are the ones that I still build with to this very day. And and I came home in 2019. I got out. I can successfully completed my federal supervised release with no issues, no problems. And while I was there, I educated myself. And for the 13 and a half years, I was building and I was reading and I was studying, I was learning and I was multiplying. I was multiplying my intelligence. I was multiplying my awareness. I was multiplying my knowledge of the world around me as well as myself. And so that when I return, that I would be well prepared to re-enter society as a productive, righteous citizen of the 5% nation and the society and community of this place we live in called America. And so I learned and I educated myself and I studied and I learned something every single day. I learned words, I learned concepts, I learned systems, I learned institutions. I learned because, dealing with that, I realized like people sit back and they say they're waiting for opportunity to come knocking. To me, that's like sitting up waiting on a mystery God. And we know the science of the 10th degree. There is no mystery God. And we know the science of the 11th degree. I would never sit up home and wait for no mystery God because I know who I am. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I learned that opportunity is all around you. It's waiting on you to discover it. And the only way you're going to discover the opportunities in life that's around you, you know what I'm saying, is that you have to have the knowledge. to see what's going on in the cipher, to see the opportunities in the cipher. Because if you don't know, then you won't see an opportunity. If I don't know nothing about real estate, I would never know when a real estate opportunity is in my face. You know what I'm saying? If I don't know about certain things, business opportunities, I will never know when there's a business opportunity in my face. So that's the science with opportunities coming from me and my understanding. So, I educated myself. So when I got out, I got a Just Cipher born. You know what I'm saying? I came to Now See because this is where my family reside at now. So I came to Now See. I got myself together. I got a Just Cipher born. You know what I'm saying? I've been on that same Just Cipher born since 2019, since I got out. And I got my forklift driver's certification in there. So that's what I used when I got out here. You know what I'm saying? And this is science of writing history in advance. Just like the shit you do in the street will get you locked up or maybe even dead, you wrote that history by doing the shit you was doing. So when shit happened to you, that was written in advance because those are the consequences of the actions. That's supreme mathematics. You know what I'm saying? 1 plus 2 gonna equals 3. You know what I'm saying? That's supreme mathematics. So when you sit back and you educate yourself and you prepare yourself, you're writing your history in advance to do what you need to do. And that's what I did. I sat back and I wrote my history in advance while I was in the PNAP. And so now when I got out, I lived the history that I wrote. I got out, I did what I said I was gonna do. I knew what I had to do, you know what I'm saying, to get right and exact and to stay right and exact. You know what I'm saying? I paid my debt to the government. I took it on the chin like a man. I rehabilitated myself. I elevated myself. I renewed my history. And then I came back to be righteous and do right. You know what I'm saying? And to live my culture right and exact. So that's what I did. And that's what I'm doing. So I got out 2019. I've been having the same Just Cipher born. I started a side business with pressure washing. You know what I'm saying? And things has been going. I've been living right and exact. I've been doing what I needed to do. Got food, clothing, home, shelter, CLR rule, transportation. You know what I'm saying, and all of that. And last year in September, I think it was September or October, they gave a Region 4 national conference up in the Queen City in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now see, and I attended, and that was me coming out after being home for culture years because the culture years I had to get my life in order. I had to get rebuild. I got 4 seeds, so I had to and they all grown, so I had to reconnect and reintroduce and rebuild my connection with my seeds and my relationship with my seeds. You know what I'm saying? I had to spend time with the family, the old earth. I had, because I was gone for 13 and a half years. I had to get to know my grandkids because my grandkids was mostly all born while I was away. So I got to get to build relationships with them. I had things to do personally. And then once I got all of that pretty much in order, I said, now I'm ready to nation build. So I attended the Region 4 Growth and Development Conference in Charlotte. And I met the guys in Charlotte, and they started having parliaments every 3rd Sunday of the month. Charlotte is 2 hours away from me. That's okay. Ever since then, I've been traveling up to Charlotte every 3rd Sunday of the month, going to the parliaments. You got some great guards in Charlotte that's doing some positive and great things. And I'm pleased to be a part of that cipher, And now, right now, in my immediate area, this is scarce with life here. It's like me, a couple of other brothers. And I just connected with this brother that's not too far from me, and we're supposed to get together soon to sit down and put our minds together as one and strive to spark some life in this area. You know what I'm saying? And that's on the table. We're getting ready to build about that and put that into activation. However, until then, I attend my parliaments up in Charlotte, up in the Queen City, and also in Savior C because I'm right here on the borderline. So either way, is about 2 hours from me. I can go to Savior C whenever they have parliaments, and that's South Carolina. I can go over there to the Parliaments, or I can go up to Charlotte. But I've been going to Charlotte. I'm familiar with those guys, and they're doing some great things, and I'm proud to be a part of their cipher. And however, now that's my history in a nutshell. And to sum it all up, I want to show my connection and my tree going all the way back to the Father Allah. And I got knowledge, like I said, from Jamel. Some people know him as Beloved, but his name is Jamel Allah, Lord Jamel, in Freeport, Long Island. He's still there to this day, building and adding on and showing, improving, and being the God that he is. He gave me the knowledge in 1981. He got the knowledge from Armel and Rashallah, they're two physical brothers, and they gave it to him in '76, and they came from Crown Heights. They moved out to Long Island in the '70s, and they came from Crown Heights. Armel, he was educated by this brother named Armel. They call him Big Armel, and another brother named Shamel. And these gods were connected with the god Rasheen God that's out in Charlotte. His physicals, Tislam, Shabay, and those gods. And that tree is connected to a brother by the name of Islam Abika. And I ain't talking about old man Rasul Ibeka, who left the mosque, temple number 7 with Allah in '63. I'm talking about Islam Abika. This is a different brother. And he was taught directly by Almighty God Allah. And that's my tree right there. So, you got my history, showing and proving I ain't no mystery. And with that, I'm going to say peace to the 5%, nation of God.